So thank you very much for coming out today, for selling out this event, and thank you to the team for organizing this lovely event. And this is probably the most beautiful space that I've spoken about, the ugliest topic. So I am an artist, a director, a composer, and a producer. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about my work and some thoughts I've been having about ugly. So you may not have thought about it much, but we're actually living in a pretty ugly time.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.
Oh, hi, Danny. What's wrong with Mark? He's crocky today. Good.
Yes! Oh my God!
Okay, so my crude hypothesis is that there is a continuum of ugliness. Ugly begins in the avant-garde, it becomes a beautiful subculture, and then the mainstream makes it ugly again. So you can think of this as two related equations. Either beauty equals ugly over time, which is kind of a reduction equation, like the more we divide ugly and refine it, the more beautiful it gets, the more we reduce it. But then once it becomes beautiful, over time we multiply it, we mass produce it, and it becomes ugly again. Now this, you have to understand is that the point of view is shifting on this axis of time. So when we say something's ugly and it's avant-garde, we is usually the mainstream. And when we say something is ugly when it's mainstream, usually we is the avant-garde. So that's just to qualify that. But I would like to talk a little bit today about glitch, because it's an aesthetic that's close to my heart and has informed my work over the last 10 years. Glitch has its roots in arguably as far back as the Italian futurists and their work, but it became underground, it became something people knew about, arguably in the late 90s with artists like Aphex Twin. And I would say that today, with artists like Skrillex, glitch has arrived in a completely, totally mainstream culture. So here's an example of my work that's working with glitch aesthetics. So what you just saw is called Wash. It's the second movement of a 5-movement piece called Wash, Choose, Peel, Chop, Rinse. And this is a piece that deals with making vegetable soup stock. Here you can see it installed at the Kick Festival in Namur, Belgium. This was a couple years ago, and Along with the video work, I also do printed artwork, and I derive the printed work directly from my video editing timelines. So here we'll just see a close-up of a segment of the the Choose print. And as you can see, the glitch that you experience in time in the video is here expressed in 2 dimensions. So you can see it across the XY axis, and each of these slices is an edit in my video. This work actually led to a commission that I did for a little car company called Mini. So we know that images of beauty are constructed, and I feel like part of what I'm trying to talk about today is that image and sound can be readily identified as ugly, but what is ugly time? So if beautiful wants to be standing out today, it has to address ugliness to be memorable, because our celebrities are photoshopped. And I saw this on Facebook. And this lady can teach me how to look like Angelina Jolie in 5 easy steps. So I think when dealing with the beauty and the fashion industry, I think it's important to take a humorous approach, because I think that there's a lot of conflicting voices in this space, and there's a lot of sort of hypocrisy as well. And I think if we're going to market beauty products or market fashion, we need to do it a little bit tongue-in-cheek at this point, because we're all aware of these things. So I just wanted to share a spot that I directed for the brand Sephora, which I feel takes this kind of humorous approach. So we're aware that there's a contradiction and a hypocrisy, but I think by turning our image insecurity into an inside joke that we can all participate in, we can have a kind of catharsis through absurdity. When I was in film school, I was taught about Hollywood continuity editing. And one of the things that you learn about is that jump cuts are considered ugly. But again, it depends on your point of view and who's saying what is ugly. So while Hollywood says jump cuts are ugly, the French New Wave says c'est la vie. And I find that in general, I would agree more with Godard that the jump cut is an acceptable thing to use for various different effects. So while Hollywood is disguising most of its editing with B-roll, with second or third cameras and other tricks to hide the edits and make things feel seamless, I feel that this is a kind of sleight of hand, creating an illusion of seamlessness when actually we're being actively deceived by the editing process. I relate very much to Werner Herzog's cinema, a cinema in which an aesthetic, ecstatic truth is revealed through fabrication and imagination. My approach to interviews, the edit is artificial, it's obvious, but I feel that the meaning stays authentic and transcendent. So I want to share an excerpt with you of a 22-minute design fiction video that we produced a couple years ago, which works with these concepts of jump cuts to tell a meaningful story.
Each piece is a unique handmade product. I look at a certain aspect of it and I can definitely say this is coming out of my machine.
Some people are romantic about having a bookcase with a lot of books, but I like everything digital for sure. It's just there. I can just think of the song and it'll just play. When you want to drink water, you open a faucet, but you don't want the faucet, you want the water. The faucet is kind of a problem. Like who wants a faucet?
Oddly, it really is a media philosophy problem. How does the means by which our messages are conveyed alter our take on the reality of the world? And they do. They very much do.
This production of that special product is only possible here in this building, in this town, and I could never move my whole company to any other place.
I use some really terrible PCs. I use some really terrible Apple hardware. This stuff is a lot better. Works a lot better, no question.
I'm used to it. I don't know if it's really magic anymore.
The combination of all these different tools in one is super convenient. It's super nice to have it.
I just use it to, get started, get my brain started. It's always, I think that's the reason I do it.
In my memory, it had become this really big, monstrous thing. I saw it and I thought, huh? Is this the thing? It's quite a small object actually when it's switched off.
They enable you to do the things that you used to dream about and think about. It's an interactive thing. You have to have a base, you have to have a foundation, and suddenly it enables you to do so many other things. There are other types of people who I don't think they have that foundation, who just look and go, I just don't get that. I don't understand why that has any intellectual or any entertainment or any spiritual benefit in doing that.
Technology is getting more personal and more real, tangible. But on the other hand, there won't be any definition about what is what anymore, and there's no really a strict border anymore.
So, I don't know if this applies to anybody else in the room, but my creative process starts with gesture. And I've always been drawing since I was a little kid, and when I started working with the moving image and sound, I needed to find a way to make those gestures happen in the fourth dimension. But generally speaking, a lot of the work that I do today is starts with ideas, and ideas need iteration, they need development. So when I've been thinking about this, I feel like there's sort of two faces of ugliness when it comes to idea generation. And in the digital age, I think it's really easy to forget the importance of process, because software makes things polished really fast. And we forget that it's good to work quick and dirty, and it's good to prototype things, and that speed is probably the most important asset when going through ideas, and that may look ugly. So if only there was a tool in the world that encouraged this kind of prototyping and working iteratively, and I'm happy to say that now there is.
Since ancient times, people have used tablets to write and communicate. Wax tablets served as reusable portable writing surfaces, popular with the poets of antiquity and medieval merchants. With the Industrial Revolution, schoolchildren used slate tablets to practice their handwriting. Modern science fiction imagined worlds where tablet computers symbolized a bright new future of seamless communication and convenience. Eventually, affordable touchscreen technology brought the tablet computer to millions of people around the world. It would seem the tablet had reached its evolutionary potential. But in fact, we're on the verge of a paradigm shift.
So together with my partner Patricia and our friend Jay, we've been developing Jay's invention into a real product, which is called the Beta Book. And the Beta Book is a portable whiteboard. It's a beautiful object that encourages you to work quick and dirty. So you really can just write on it and erase it. Very simple idea. I'll pass this one around. It comes in two sizes. You can just have your own experience with it. And the idea is really simple. You keep what matters, you iterate, and then you erase the rest. You don't need to keep all of those progressions in your thought process. You only need the final result. In fact, I prototyped this presentation using the Beta Book. So this is just one of those sketches that comes and goes. And I'm very happy to announce that just a couple weeks ago, we actually closed a Kickstarter campaign for the Beta Book. And at over 600% funded, we're going to be shipping over 1,500 people their Beta Books this spring all over the world. But I wanted to come back to ugly in a kind of critical way at the end of this presentation. Because I feel like ugly is a weighted word. It's a value judgment. When you say something's ugly, it's not beautiful. So I think that this kind of value judgment stems from our own lack of self-knowledge. And when we say something is ugly, it actually can reveal our own ugliness. But we have a culture in Hollywood where we have fantasies of beautiful people with ugly behavior. And we have a culture on television which celebrates the reality of how ugly the behavior of judging beauty can be. So it's difficult. My friend Nicole is a professional model, and I've learned a lot getting to know her about how the fashion industry constructs its images of beauty. At the moment, she's the face of Berlin Fashion Week. This is a billboard that you can see all over the city. But what many people don't know is that she's also the creator of her own fashion label. And I wanted to create a portrait of Nicole that expressed this multifaceted quality of her character. So I call this work Faces of N, and this is the prelude. I truly believe that the more multifaceted our own identities can become, the less judgmental we can become of others. We launched Faces of N last spring, and if you want to see, there's a microsite, facesofn.com, where you can see each of those 5 ensembles that are depicted in the prelude in their own audiovisual composition, in which the fashion ensemble is also an ensemble of instruments, because yes, all of those sounds come from the sounds of the clothing. So that's it. I really enjoyed it, and it's been beautiful. Thank you.